Welcome back. So last week we did some if functions, how to insert if, how to use the if function, if or, if and then we looked at various if functions. To some if, we did some if, count if, average if. I just want to check our understanding. Does anyone have is there any question from last week? Okay. So we'll carry on. So we're still using the same spreadsheet I sent last week. And we're going to go to if error. But before we go to if error, I'll just remind us, when we did the VLOOKUP, if you remember, when we were like practicing, we had some errors when we did not select properly. And sometimes when you do your VLOOKUP, you know that what you're looking for, everything you're looking for might not be in the data. So you know that you have some errors, but you want to be able to deal with the error so it doesn't like affect your sum or something like that. Because if you try and sum something with an error, so for instance, if I do sum for all these cells here, it will come up with an error because there are some errors there. There's some non-numbers that it would not be able to sum. So if you want to remove it, if you need to add this if error to your formula to remove any errors. It can either not remove the errors, but you're telling Excel that if it finds an error, do something else. So it might be if it finds an error, return a blank cell, or if it finds an error, return 0, or if it finds an error, return a word. So you're just trying to make it say, return what you want it to return. So we can see this is just an example of errors you can find. So you can see that this is an error. And if you put in a formula and this is the answer it's giving you, and you want to remove that formula, you use the if error. So if I put equal to if error, so that means if this is an error, I'll open a bracket. So this value, if it's an error, what do I want it to do? What do I want it to return? So if it's an error, I want it to return, in this case, I want it to return the word error. So I'll put error, and of course in the double apostrophe, and enter. So it's looking at this cell. If it's an error, it returns error. If it's not an error, what happens to it? If I drag the formula here, if it's not an error, it would bring me that cell if it's not an error. But once it checks it and it feels it's an error, it will return error because I've told it to return error. So if I drag this all the way down, then you can see that the ones that look like errors, it would come up with errors. So these are all errors in Excel for one reason or the other. So to practicalize this if error, I would go back to our VLOOKUP. So we'll go back to our VLOOKUP. I'm just going to share. Okay, new share. Let me open up our VLOOKUP. And then we'll be able to practicalize this if error. Okay, new share. Okay. Okay. So can you see the VLOOKUP? So this was the file we used for our VLOOKUP. And when we did it, I'm just going to do a quick VLOOKUP. Quick VLOOKUP that would have an error here. Comma. Oh, what am I doing? VLOOKUP this, comma, comma 2, comma false. So this is an error. I think I'll actually, let me do an actual example that won't have an error. So I'm just gonna, what I'll do is I will change one of these numbers to something that you can't find on our table. So let me do this properly. Okay. First name, we are looking for first name, which is 3. If you remember how we were freezing, and then we froze this. So this one here, I've changed the number, so it's not on this table. And let me change another one to 3, 4, 5, which is not on the table. These two are not on the table as well. I've highlighted them. So ideally, if I drag this all the way down, these ones have changed. They are not on the table. So you can't find it. So to use that if error in this situation, I'm going to say if it's an error, for instance, give me a blank cell. So what I would do is this formula, I'll add if error to it. So I'll add if error to it. So I will start with if error, open a bracket. So this whole thing, look at this whole thing. And if it's an error, I want you to return a blank cell. So for blank cell, it will be double apostrophe. And then close the bracket and enter. So I've added if error to the formula. I'm just going to drag that all the way down. And then you see what would happen. Can you see what has happened to these two? There were errors. Because I've added that if error formula to it, it is going to give me a blank cell because I don't want to see those errors when it returns the answers. Is that clear? So you're just adding it. So if, for instance, you say if it's an error, you might want to say, okay, check table. It might be something to prompt you to do something. So that will just check it will be check table if it finds an error. So all the ones with the error, it will just be check table. So whatever you want it to do, it will do. It might be, if it's an error, give me 0. And if, for instance, if what the field you are pulling it in, if it's like a numeric field, you can say, if it's an error, give me 0. And when it brings in 0, you know that when you add that column together, it won't give you an error. Is that clear? Okay. So I would move on back to. I'm trying to. This is yeah. I have these different screens open, so I'm just making sure I'm sharing the right one. Can I check that you're seeing my IFERROR spreadsheet?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Is IFERROR, is it clear? So all you're saying is you can literally add IFERROR to any formula just to make sure that it doesn't return an error. And then if we look at nested ifs, nested ifs simply means that we did if last week. So nested if means you are nesting an if inside an if. It's like you're combining different ifs together. And you can nest as many ifs as you want, depending on what you're doing. So this is a small example. So this is a store. What they do in the store is they offer 20% discounts on Thursdays, but only to people who are over 60 years of age and who have store points over 50. So we have two conditions there. They have to be over 60 and their loyalty points must be over 50. So you have your customer records. So these are the records of your customers. And this is the customer verification you've created for your customer service team. So all they need to do, the customer service team, what they need to do is put in the name of the customer, and you've already created this form to bring in either no or yes. And how did you create it? The first thing you did was in the age, you use the VLOOKUP to bring in the age of whoever is here into the cell. So all they need to do, your customer service people, you just need to key in the name, and it will bring in the information because you've already put a formula in to bring in the age and the loyalty points. And then we want to give a discount excuse me, to people over 60 years with store points over 50. We need to put a formula here to actually do that. Who can help us with this? What's the first if statement that we need to put? If we start with the first if, what should be the first if statement? What's our first condition here? I'm just gonna read
the age.
The age, right?
Yeah.
So how do we do that? Based on our lesson last week. And we just need a yes or a no. So it would be if the age is over 60, right?
Yeah.
That's the first condition. So if we start with the first if, okay? If what cell is our age? Sorry, I need to start with equal to. Okay. What cell is our age? What condition are we looking at? We are looking at this cell. This is our age here. So if this cell, that's where the age is. If it's greater than 60, that's our first condition, right? Comma. So we know that if C17 is greater than 60, that satisfies one of the conditions. And then we need to add another if. So before I add another if, okay, let me say if C17 is greater than 60, yes, right? So that means they get a discount, although they haven't satisfied all the conditions. So I'll put yes, otherwise it's no. This is our first condition. If C17 is greater than 60, yes, otherwise no. Now we need to add another if to this. So even if C17 is 60 and is yes, we need another if to actually put in the second condition. So what I'll do is after this, I'll put another if, and we're looking at loyalty points now. If loyalty point, which is C18, has to be greater than 50, comma, yes. Don't forget this. Yes, comma, no. That's the second if I'm nesting in it. So that second if, because this is already yes, it will only check the next condition if is yes. So it will replace this my yes. And then if C17 is greater than 60, if it's yes, then it will check this next condition. And otherwise, it will be no. So you get a no because William is not greater than 60. Although the loyalty point is 100, but William is not greater than 60. So if I change William to, let's change William to Kate. So let's put Kate here. So it's Kate is a yes, because Kate is greater than 60 years old, is older than 60 years old, and has loyalty points more than 50. So what you need to do is do the ifs one by one. So if a condition is satisfied, if it's yes, then put another if. And then if that is yes, then you can add another if in. Is that clear? Let's see what this looks like using a function box. So if we do equal to if, I'll open a function box here. Our first logical test is this age is greater than 60. You can already see that that is true. So value if true, if it's true, we want to check something else. So we want to check no, never type in. This is greater than 50. And that is another true. It's now saying if it's false, what do I do? Just bring in no. Let's see what we've got. So it's come up with true. That means we did not finish that formula. So this is true. However, we haven't imputed, we haven't finished this. So this should be if is greater than 50, comma, yes. So it has to be yes or no. What did I do? Yeah, yes or no. And value is if false is no. Okay. So you're starting with a logical test, and then you're putting another logical statement in the true, in value if true. And then value if false is no. Is that clear? So you can literally do this in two different places and copy them together. So if it's difficult to do them all at once, okay, what I would do is, for this one, I would say equal to if this age is greater than 60, comma, if it's true, we want a yes, comma, if it's false, we want a no. Okay? So that is only checking one condition. So I'm going to freeze. So by the side, I can check the other condition. So the other condition will be equal to if this cell here is greater than 50. If it's true, yes, or comma, no. But because I'm going to copy this formula, into this. I want to make sure I freeze my cell here so it doesn't move. So I'm going to just freeze the cell because when I copy it, I don't want it to move. So function F4. So I don't want that to move. So what I'll do, instead of this yes here, I would copy this formula and put it and replace that. So I'll do this. I'll copy this. So I've copied that, Control C. So I'm going to replace this one and enter. So can you see how I've done it? Like you can do it in another cell and then just copy and paste it into that formula. So that's another way. That's an easier way to do it until you get used to doing it together. Do we have any questions? Okay, so that's how you nest an if. I'm going to be putting in another file. We're going to be going to text functions. I'll drop another file into into the chat box. Did you get the file?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to share my screen. Text functions, okay. So we're going to be looking at different types of text functions. And text functions are really great in analyzing data. Like you realize that you use it a lot of the time for data that are mixed up. So it's just like ways of like extracting parts of data. We're going to be looking at some simple ones. So we have the left, mid, right, and len. So what left does is within a cell, within a particular cell, you can extract part of the data from the cell. You know, if you copy and paste, it will copy everything in the cell, unless you specifically copy part of the cell. But if you have a lot of data that are together, so for instance, if you have like data that has first name and last name all in the same cell, and you want to like split into different columns, you can use a left function or a right function. You can use a text function depending on what you're doing. So I've got this data here. A lot of the times, when you download data from some systems, it comes together all in one column, especially maybe if it's like from a PDF or something. And then you can use this from different functions to kind of split it depending on what you're doing. So to use the left function for this, what we want to extract here, we want to extract royal from this cell. So the left function will be equal to left. And what you're saying is that look at this cell. Look at this cell here and count from the left. Bring me, royal is 5 characters. Bring me 5 characters from the left. So starting from the left, bring me 5 characters. And it's just as simple as that. Equal to left, you click on the cell, comma, and the number of characters you want it to bring. So it will bring everything plus the space plus everything. So if you change this to 7, for instance, if you want it to bring 7 characters, it will bring royal plus these 2 dashes. For the right is the opposite of it. It's counting from the right and it's bringing in the characters. So it would be equal to, who can guess what the right would be? Equal to?
Equal to right.
Right. Open a bracket.
Open a bracket, select the cell.
Okay.
And 3 characters.
What do we want to bring in?
The ABC.
Okay, ABC, that would be how many characters?
3.
Comma 3. And close the bracket. And it is that simple. And if you ask me, okay, if the characters you want to bring are in the middle, Adolisa.
Okay, continue. I wanted to ask a question. I just thought I should wait till when you.
Okay. So if you say, oh, I don't want my characters from the left, I don't want it from the right. If my characters are in the middle, I want to bring it from the middle, then you use the mid function. And the mid is just like the other two. It's just that you need to tell it where to start counting from. So if you say equal to mid, so let's assume we want to bring out best. Here, we want to bring out the best, okay? We click on the text, comma. Then it's going to ask you start number. Where do I start counting from? Because you want it from the middle. So definitely you need to indicate where you want it to start from. So since we want to bring the best, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We want it to start from 12. 12. And then we want 4 characters, which is best. And then close the bracket. And then you have best. Is that clear? And length is just to count the number of characters in the cell. So learn, there are some systems that, you want to upload to a system from a spreadsheet, but the system is set up that it can only take a maximum of a number of characters. So you need to check the characters you try to upload. Otherwise, it will give you an error before you upload it. So an easy way to check the length of your character is using the len function. So what the len will do is it will count the number of characters you have here, plus the space, to tell you how many characters you are putting in. So like my final system at work, there are particular cells that you cannot put in more than 30 characters or 40 characters. So before you upload your file, you need to check that you don't have more. Otherwise, it will reject the file. So the len is just equal to, and it's as simple as len. And then we're just going to put the text and enter. And it's telling us that we have 20 characters here. So if you count this, it is actually 20. Okay. So let's do the next one. Who's going to help us with this? Left. If we want to extract U here, who's going to help us with that? Using the left function.
Left equal
to left.
Yeah,
Okay.
open bracket.
Open bracket.
You highlight the B5.
Okay.
Then comma 3.
Comma 3.
Yeah,
It is, it's that simple. Who's going to help us with right? Let's extract beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 characters in beautiful.
Equals to right.
Equals to right.
Open bracket.
Open bracket.
Select the cell.
Select the cell.
Comma.
9.
Close the bracket.
Close the bracket. Enter. Who would help us with mid? Let's extract R.
Okay, let me try.
Okay.
Equal to mid.
Equal to mid.
You highlight the B5.
Open a bracket first. Open the
bracket. Open the bracket first. Highlight the B5.
B5. Okay.
Comma. 4.
No. 4.
3. 5.
Okay, which one are we going with?
4. Let's start with 4.
4. Comma.
Is it 3?
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close bracket.
Okay. So if you remember, it will count the space. So if you want to bring an R, you're going to have to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will be 5 and 3.
Okay.
And then let's do the length. Let's count how many characters we have in B5.
Is equal to
Equal to
len. Select the
bracket.
cell.
Select the cell.
Close the bracket.
Close the bracket. Enter. So it's quite simple.
I want to ask a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Now, if the initial by the test function are lengthy.
If it's lengthy.
Yeah, how will you determine the middle character?
It depends
Because
on
you
what
have
you
to
want.
count it.
You have to count it. But if it's lengthy, maybe the mid might not be the right formula to use. We're going to get to text to column after this. So you might actually want to use text to column,
Okay.
because if it's too lengthy, then you need to literally count everything. But we'll also see other ways of actually finding, what if we use the search or the find. We'll see how we can do that. But if it's lengthy, you notice that this, because you have to actually count where it is, this type of formula is not something you use for like a lot of data. It might just be for specific ones. Because even though you want royal here, you only want you here. So if I drag this down, it won't work. So you might need to use something else. But if it's lengthy, then you might need to, you need to count it if you have to use that mid function. But I'm pretty sure there would be other ones that you be able to use faster than the mid. If they're all like set up in the same way, like same character, and the characters you are picking is in the same place. So if you count one, you can say, okay, if you drag it down, then it will pick the same thing, but it's unlikely that you have it set up like that. So the other set of functions are proper, upper, and lower. And sometimes you download data and you download names. And names ideally should be proper. That means, the first letter is capital and you have lower cases. It's possible that you've downloaded this data and they're all in caps and you want to change it. But you can't start changing it one by one and typing one by one. So you can use this formula, these functions, to actually change it. So look at this magnificent here. Is a mix of lowercase and uppercase letters. So to change this to a proper word, it would be equal to proper, open a bracket, click on it, and enter. This is always very good when you have a list of names and the cases are all over the place. You can just simply apply this proper and then you have it in this form. If on the other hand, it's all in lowercase and you want to change it to uppercase, you put equal to upper, open a bracket, click on this, and enter. And the same thing for lower. It's all in uppercase. You want to change lowercase, equal to lower, open a bracket, click on this to cell, and enter. So this is very, very useful, especially proper. You have names and, it's all over the place. So you just want to, have the proper cases on it. Then always use the proper. And of course, you can apply this to a lot of data. All you need to do is drag it down. Adelisa, please go ahead.
Does this apply to only a test or what I mean?
Sorry.
Word? Does this apply to only a word or you can also apply it to a sentence?
To what?
Do you apply this to only one word like magnificent, or you can apply it to a sentence like the sentence that we used in the first example?
Let's try it with a sentence. Equal to proper. Let's look at this and enter. It applies to a sentence. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. So it changes everything to proper. So which is starting with the uppercase and the lowercase. And of course, upper and lower would apply to the sentence as well. So equal to upper. Just click on the sentence and enter. And that is all in uppercase, equal to lower. Applies to. So anything you apply it to, it will just change it. Okay. So trim and clean. These two functions are usually very useful, especially when you're doing a lot of VLOOKUPs. Sometimes you have data. You know that on your lookup, if, for instance, this is great, but it's got a space in front of it. If I do a lookup with great and look this up, it won't find it because it doesn't recognize that they are the same thing. This has a space in front of it, and normal great will not have a space. So if I do a lookup to look up this great on a table that has this, it won't find it because it's not the same. So VLOOKUP it needs to be exact. So sometimes you might need to clean or trim your data. And what that does is when you trim your data, it would get rid of all the spaces that are not needed that are there. It will get rid of that. And then when you clean your data, there are some characters in the data that you can't see. So what we would do is it would just clean it for you. So let's trim this. So if you want to trim this, it would be equal to trim, open a bracket, click on the text, and close the bracket. Sometimes when you do a VLOOKUP, and you're looking up the data and you can't find it, and you know that the data is there, what you need to introduce to that VLOOKUP is a trim. So you need to trim it to get rid of any character that is there that is not needed, that is preventing your lookup from working. So for instance, this magic cap has two spaces in between. So if I trim it, let me type it again, although I can drag it down. So if I trim this one here, what has happened is it got rid of the one space. So I have two spaces there, I have only one space in between. So any character that is not needed, any space or anything like that is not needed, it will trim it. Sometimes you might look at this great and there might be characters, there might be spaces at the end of it, and you won't even know by looking at it. But when you trim it, when you introduce trim, then you get rid of all those characters that you don't need. And clean works the same way, but clean will get rid of characters, some non-printable characters that clean will get rid of. So if you do equal to clean, if we clean this, what clean does is you can see that the space is still there, but clean will get rid of. There's some non-printable characters that clean will get rid of. I was going to actually look for some of those characters, but when I find one, I would actually add it here. So clean will not get rid of those spaces, but it gets rid of some non-printable characters. Let's see what clean will get rid of. So if you look at this magic cap, there are spaces after cap here, but your trim will get rid of all those extra spaces that you don't need. Is that clear? Find. So someone asked the question that, if the character, when we're doing our mid, if the characters are really long, that do you have to count all? You can use the find function to actually find something within a cell. So what it would do is it will find the position of that thing within the cell. So you know when we're doing meat and we have to count to find where to start from, you can actually use the find function to do that. So the difference between find and search is find is case sensitive. If it's case sensitive, then find. If it's not case sensitive, then you can use search, but they are the same. In this case, let's look at, if we want to look for is. So for instance, we want to know the position of this is. Where is it on in this cell? We can do equal to find. Okay. Open a bracket and find what text do I want to find? I want to find is. Is within which text? I want to find this here. If I close the bracket, it's going to give me 11. If I count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you see that is starts from 11. So that is where it starts from. Search works the same way. So if I do search equal to search, search, I want to find is, comma, I want it here. It gives me the same thing. Is that clear? So find, we'll only find it if it's case sensitive. Always use find. If particularly what you're looking for is case sensitive. So for instance, this is that we found here. If this tiger, if I change this is that's capital is, you find out that your find will not find it because it's looking for a lowercase is. So you're better off using search because search either is lowercase or uppercase, it will find it. But if you're specifically looking for like is that is uppercase, if it's case sensitive, use find. So you find the exact one you're looking for. I'm going to undo that. And then we have substitute. So substitute is you are just swapping something within the cell. So if we do equal to substitute, open a bracket, asking us for the text. If you click on this text, comma. So the old text is the tiger is fierce. If we want to change this, the tiger is fierce to the tigers are fierce, for instance. So I want to find, so I want to change this is to are, but I want to add s to tiger. So I'm looking for, so if I look for R, which is the beginning of my tiger, space is, that is what I want to substitute. That's my old text, comma. What do I want to put? So now I want to put RS R. That's what I want to substitute. And then close the bracket and enter. The tigers are fierce. So it's just substitute, select the cell, and look for what you want to substitute, and then put what you want to, the new text. Is this clear? Adelisa.
Okay, I'm just being curious. Why using only the last word in the tiger?
Why am I using only the
Only the last letter in the tiger instead of the word tiger.
because I don't need to change everything because this CIG is not changing. If I can literally just use, if I don't want to use this R here, so if I look for space and is, and then I change this to, it will still give me the same thing. So you're just, what I'm just looking for is I want to make sure I add S to R and change this S to R. So there's really no point putting the old tiger. So you can type in the old tiger. So if I put the old tiger, so what it means is I'll type in the old tiger here. It's still the same thing. It's just faster not to put the tiger.
Okay.
Okay. And then what we need to concatenate. Concatenate means we want to add two cells together. So we have so for instance, we have this cell and this cell. If we use concatenate or concat, it will add the cells together. So if I do, let me do a simpler example. Like, let's see the girls Scouts. So you have this information, this three, but I want to add them together here. So if you use concatenate, equal to concatenate, open a bracket, it will ask you for your text. What do you want to add together? I want to add this. That's my text one, comma, this, comma, this. That's my last one. Enter. And then I've got the Girl Scouts. I don't want space. So I've got the Girl Scouts. So it's added all three together. But I want spaces between the text, right? So in between them, I need to add my spaces. So I'll do this, comma, and then after this, I need another space, comma, and enter. And then I have spaces in between. So you can use the concatenate function, or you can use the ampersand. So if you do equal to, if you click on this, if you do your ampersand, I want to put a space in between, ampersand. I'll click on this. And my space, and the ampersand, and then I click on this, and then close my bracket. Yeah, what have I done? And then I'll click on, yeah. And then you achieve the same thing. So sometimes you might need to like join strings of cells together. So that is the way to do it.
I'm sorry, I didn't get what you called that. The last one with the formula used. Apple.
So yeah, this like and. Sometimes we call it and. It's on your keyboard on the 7.
Yeah, I said you called it something.
Ampersand, I think. I think it's
Ample.
Yeah. I stand to be corrected.
I'm just trying to get the spelling.
Yeah, it's ampersand. Yeah. Yeah, it's ampersand. Ampersand, which is AMPR stand. Stand. Ampersand. Yeah, that is it. That's a symbol. That's what it's called. Some people call it and. So if you use and, I think it's fine as well. So you can use ampersand, you can use concatenate or concat. Concat also, it used to, a long time ago, it used to be concatenate, but they introduced concats as well, which just joins the strands together. This, space, and this, and close the brackets. And you get exactly the same things. Concat, concatenate, ampersand. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Oh yeah, number value. Sometimes when you have your number, look at this, you have this message beside it telling you your number is stored as a text. And we know what happens with the number. If your number is showing as a text, when you add sum to it, Excel does not recognize that as a number. It's not numeric. So your sum will not work. So it might be that you need to change to a number. And you can either, there are many ways of doing this. You can either convert it using this. So you can either convert this to number. But if you have a lot of numbers, sometimes that can be slow, because if you select it and do convert to number, you literally see it going, changing all the way down. But you also use a number value formula. It's a function that you can use to convert this to a number. And it's simply equal to number value, open a bracket, click on your text and enter. And then that is stored, that becomes a number. Another way of doing this, if you don't want to use number value, you can do equal to, you can multiply that text by 1. If you multiply it by 1, it automatically converts it to a number. And of course, the last way doing it is to convert to number here, and then that converts to a number. Is that clear?
If you add +1, won't it change the value?
No, you're multiplying by 1. Anything you multiply
Okay,
by 1.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, anything you
fine.
multiply by 1 is what?
Yeah, I thought you added 1. That's fine.
No, you won't be able to add 1 to it because it won't work. It doesn't recognize it as a number.
Okay.
Is that you actually need this? Sometimes when you're doing VLOOKUP, if your table is stored as a text and then what you're trying to look up is a number, it won't find it. It won't recognize it as the same. So you might need to change the formatting. And this is an easy way to change the formatting. Okay. So let's do, okay. So this is like a small exercise. We have email addresses here. And out of these email addresses, okay, we want to pull out the first name. So all you have is email addresses. But we want to pull out the first name from these email addresses and the mail provider. So we have joe@yahoo.co.uk, we have Anna at Gmail, peace at yahoo.co, Kemi at Hotmail. And if you look at all this, so we're going to make use of all these functions to actually split this text. What do we think we can use to extract the first name from this? What function do you think we can use? Bear in mind that the first name is
the left function.
the left function. So if we use the left function for Joe, so we'll say equal to left. We'll click on this, comma, right?
Yeah.
And then Joe is three letters, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Joe is fine. We're happy with Joe. But We have Anna, we have peace. We have Anna is, if I drag it down, don't forget, we can't be typing the formula in. You need to be able to put a formula in that you can just drag down and it will do what you want it to do. If we drag this down, look at what has happened. It's only brought in Anne, P, and Ken. So using the left function is not going to cut it. The same thing happens to the mail provider. You say we need to use the right function, right? But if we use the right function, these have all different number of characters. So it won't cut it. Only the right function will not cut it. So the best function to use here, what do you think it is?
Is it find or search?
Yeah, we're going to have to find. So what is common to all this?
Art.
Art is common. So what we would do, let's find the position for art. Because we know art, we can use that art to break this. So if we look for art, so it would be equal to find, open a bracket, we're looking for art, comma, and we're looking for art here, enter. So we'll drag this down. So we found the position of art in all this. Then we can now use the left to extract this. And the reason why we'll use the left to extract this is because we know the position of art. We know that anything before the art is the first name. So what we'll do will be equal to, it will be left. This is our text, right? So our number of characters would be wherever the art is, -1. So in Joe, it will be 3, right? In Anna, it will be 6. So we just need to I'll just open a bracket. This will be equal to this -1. And close the bracket and enter. So it will be looking at the text position and removing 1 from it. So if we drag this down, can you see what is done? Because we'll find the position of the art, it will just be removing 1 from it and just count that. And then to do the mail provider, we can also use right.
Then +1.
So please, can you come again with that, Kemi?
Okay.
Okay.
So when we use the left, when we use the left, you have to count how many characters you want it to bring in. And because we don't want to start counting one by one, because they all have all these first names, they all have different number of characters. We first use the find function to find the position of the art that is common to all of them. So once we found the position of the art, so we know that the first name is before the art. So once we find that, we know that once we to find Joe, to find any of this, it would be that position of art -1 position. So Anna, for instance, is going to be, this is 7. So Anna will be 6, which is why, it's C29, this 7 -1, which is why we could drag it down and then it worked for all of them because we found the position of that character that is common to them. And to find the mail provider, we're going to use this text position again because we know that the mail provider is after the art. So we're saying start counting, but count from after the art. So we're going to use a mid. So if we, for instance, if we do, equal to mid, open a bracket, this is our text, comma. Where do you want it to start counting from? I want it to start counting from this text position plus 1. Because the one next to it is the beginning of my email provider. So I'll put another bracket. It will be this plus 1. That's where it starts counting from, comma. And the number of characters, I can put 20. I know that will cover it. And enter. And when you drag this down, it will cover everything. Is that clear? Yeah, Adolisa.
Yes, so this is clear, but what if in case we don't want to get the .com or the .uk, we just want to
If
get,
you want what?
we just want to get the Yahoo, just Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail without the .com on it.
Without the .com on it.
Yes,
We just want to get the Yahoo without the dots. Okay.
yes.
If we look for the position of, that might be a bit tricky because of this double dots. But if we look for, if we do equal to,
Can we still use the art, the first position of the art?
yeah, if we use the at, but we need to stop it before the dots. So it needs to, yeah. Okay, so let's find the position of the dots equal to, let's see, find. Let's find the dots. I'm not sure how you work for this with the double dots, but let's try it. Within this test, and let's see. So you found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you found 10. So I think it picked the first one. Okay. Okay. So we want only the Yahoo, without the .co or .com. So if we do equal to, if we start mid, comma, that's our text, comma, where are we starting from? We're starting from this plus 1, comma, and where are we ending it? We just want to count this minus 1, right? So this minus 1, and close the bracket, enter. No, that did not work. So
You know there are two dots there.
Yeah, I thought he picked the first dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he picked the first dot. So we want F28. I think we want, no. Okay. It looks like we're going to introduce something else. Yeah, it looks like we're going to introduce something else. Let's introduce length. So this is dot. This is where the dot is. If we introduce length equal to, by the time we do the next lesson, you realize that there's a much easier way to do this. But let's do this for now. So equal to, let's find the length of this. So let's find the length of this. Enter. Oh, what formatting do I have here? Comma. Okay, so the length is 15. Okay, so for the maybe what I would do is, instead of this formula here would be, it will be this minus this. Enter. No, that did not work. Length. So I want, No, that did not work. So I did. So it should be this minus. Oh, that did not work. I have to think about that. There's definitely a better way to do this, and that's text to column. And it's always better to use text to column for something like this. This is just a long-winded. It's just to show how to use mid, but it's not the best thing to use. When we do next week, we're going to do text to column, and then we'll see how to split this properly without going this long-winded way. Absolute numbers. If we can move on. Absolute numbers, sometimes you have some numbers in negative and you just want to convert everything to positive. So you use absolute to convert it, and it's simply ABS. That's the function. So it would be equal to ABS. And what it does, it converts anything to the absolute value. That's anything. It will remove the signs and just convert it. So anything with a negative, it will become a positive. But if it's positive, then it's fine. So you just make sure it's absolute. Sometimes you need to use this just to convert all the numbers to, you don't want the negative sign. You can convert all the numbers. Another way to do this is you can do a control find. So if you do like control find, which is control F, look for all the negatives and replace all. So if you do replace all, then it will convert it to negative as well. Another way to convert is we can use an if. If this is less than, then it will be that number multiplied by, I'm just going to undo that. So if we use equal to if this is less than 0, then this multiplied by -1, otherwise this. So you're just saying if this number is less than 1, multiplied by -1, that will convert it. Otherwise, just give me the number. And that's another way to convert from negative if you have a long string. The next tab has date and time. And it's just to show you, how to input. If you have a document and you want to input today's date, so you want that document, anytime you open it, you want it to reflect the current date. So like, for instance, maybe you're checking, days to pay suppliers or something, or the number of days to resolve queries. So if you have a cell that has today's date, you can always reference that cell that you've had a query for like 3 days or something, because your date will always be today's date. And the formula for that is just simply today, open a bracket, close a bracket, and enter. And that will give you the current date. So that's today's date. If you want the date and the time, then use the now function, which is equal to now, open a bracket, close a bracket, and enter. It gives you the date and the time, the current time. If I close this document, this Excel sheet, if I open it tomorrow, it will give me tomorrow's date and tomorrow's date and time. So it would always refresh. It will always be current. If you want to add code, the dates, just the dates that is not going to be changing. So this is formula driven. If I open it tomorrow, it will change. This hard coded, you just want to input the date fast. Just do control and your semicolon. So if you press your control button and your semicolon, you have your hard-coded date. And then if you do your control shift and your semicolon and your colon, not control shift and your colon will give you the hard-coded time. So this will not change, while this will be changing. If you have a date and you want to extract the day from this, and extract the month and extract the year from this, how can we do it?
Text to column.
Text to column?
I think so.
Okay, how do you use text to column for that?
I only know the long process. Go to data and click on text to column.
I think it was
Not the font.
the it was first, then the
Let's explore the text to column. How do we do it?
Select the delimited.
Yeah.
Next,
Next.
select the order,
Other.
then the slash,
The slash.
//
Okay.
next, finish.
Finish. Let's do that again. So it's placing it in B. We don't want it in B. We want it in C. That worked. We learn every day. But you know that date can be quite funny because sometimes it changes to this number on Excel. If you like break it, I thought someone was going to say like maybe use the right, left and stuff, which would not have worked because it would change to number. If we, I'm just gonna, no, there's no point. So we can use the text function to actually extract the day and the month and the year. And especially when you want to change it to like the actual day of the week, or when you want to, instead of 11, which is November, you want to write NOV. So the first one, if we do the first one, if we do equal to text, open a bracket, I'm going to click on this, comma, and I want it to be, my format is, I want it to be day. That is my day. So it will extract the day in that format that you wanted. If you want to extract the actual day of the week, if you do equal to text, open a bracket, click on that, comma. If we make it DDD, it will give us Tuesday. And then if we want the full Tuesday, it will be equal to text. I click on that day, and then I do DDDD. Yeah. Oh, comma. I'm missing comma. Enter. And we can do the same thing for the month as well. So if we do equal to text, I'm going to click on the date, comma. The format for a month will be
MM.
Yeah. And then that's the month. What do you think will happen if we do MMM?
To give us the November.
A short form of the month.
No,
Yeah, I'm gonna freeze this so that I don't keep typing. Yeah. So if I'm gonna pull it down. So if we change this, if this is MMM, it will give us November. And if we change this to MMN, it will give us the full November. And then of course the year is the year. It won't change. So the year will be equal to text. Come on, let's do year first and then year. And I don't think we can go further. So this is year. If we do year, I'm just gonna freeze that so it doesn't move. So if we do year, it's 2023. We can't go further than that. Even if we add another Y, it's still 2023. So that's a way to extract dates. Dates can be quite funny because sometimes when it changes the text, you won't. It will just change it to something completely different. If we use learn, for instance, so if we use left, let's try left and see if it works. If we do left, click on this. We want 2 characters, right? 2. Let's see if that works. Can you see what has happened? Because this is stored as one, like a string of numbers. The dates are numbers in Excel. So it will just bring out the first 2 characters of those numbers, which is why learn the left and the right and the mid will not work for the dates, which is why you have to use the text function or the text to column. Okay, is that clear? So next week, we'll continue with text to column. So we're going to do text to column next week. And we're going to look at an actual interview exercise next week. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Do we have any questions? Adolisa, do you want to say something?
Yes, okay. So